Hi, this is Talk K Dramas with Bruce and Dallas.
Hey.
Episode 4,
Yes.
Pachinko. We're halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alrighty. So sentence number 1, as Isaac is getting ready for the wedding, he meets Hansu and Hansu sizes him up. Sentence number 2.
Almost literally.
Right. That's funny. Sentence number 2, the Korean landowner, as the Korean landowner is about to sign papers, she asks Solomon, would she force his grandmother to do this? And Solomon says, no. And lastly, Sunja's mother gives her some parting wedding advice in a very tearful farewell, while Hansu watches from the docks.
I feel like there was a lot of dialogue that I didn't write down. Wasn't there like a lot of?
No, I don't think there was an incredible amount of dialogue. There were some things that were said that was kind of like, well, I know where this is going real quick, but I will wait for that scene that you're talking about. What you were talking about between the Solomon and the Japanese co-worker.
Well, even like the mom, everything you're saying, I was like, oh yeah, did I write that down?
Probably not because I mean,
was like, I felt like there was a lot of dialogue and I didn't want to write everything. I just wanted to watch.
Yeah, well, remember, it's like I just wanted to set up the 3 main things that are happening, but that's not necessarily like when I do the 3 sentences, I'm realizing that I'm not necessarily doing the dialogue, right? It's like that's why that's what you're doing, but I'm like,
exactly, which is what I'm saying.
It's not quite the same. Yeah, it's not the same thing. It really is not.
I feel like I didn't write a lot of stuff down. So we start off the episode. Well, we're halfway through. Are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm loving it for a lot of different reasons. I'm loving it but if you were in on our last hour-long episode, I mean, for crying out loud, I did not think that we were going to talk that long about episode 3, but we did. And when you introduced the idea that, or from the author in the book, saying that history, what is it? History has failed us. It's like I said, that spoke to my ethnic studies heart. And then it made all the other stuff even make more sense. Like it brought it in more into focus for me. And so I'm enjoying this again for a lot of different reasons. But I'm especially appreciating that this is a story that is not normally told, especially in a United States context, is not normally told. And so that's what I'm really enjoying about this.
Good. Okay. I'm enjoying it.
You seem a little, that sounded a little flat to me.
Did it? No. I guess I'm trying to think right now because I'm also reading the book along with it.
That's dangerous.
I know.
It's very dangerous.
So
it's either read the book before or read the book after, but reading it during, that's challenging.
It is, but I'm actually enjoying it. It's strange because right now I'm going along simultaneously with what's happening in the movie.
Yeah.
So it is kind of cool that I'm getting a little more backstory.
Yeah.
So that part's kind of cool.
So are you trying not to read past what we see?
No, I'm not trying at all. That's just the flow of it. That's just where it's going right now. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I guess you said I'm flat. It's just because I'm like trying to think about.
Well, look, I'm waiting for you to bring this up so that I can say I know the reason why you're processing so much is because there is so much to process in a story that, it's like if we were to watch our regular, let's just say Boys Over Flowers, or because that's just iconic, romance or whatever. There's a lot less to process in that space. Well, I mean, we were processing a lot because we were learning about K-pop, or not K-pop, but Korean dramas. We were learning a lot about Korean culture. So there was that, right? But now, if we were to watch something like that, it would be like, oh, this is, it'd be pretty simple. Yeah. This is a complex ethnic story, right? This is a complex story and that we don't know a whole bunch about.
You're right. I'm just kind of sitting back, taking it all in.
Yeah.
There is so anyways, let's start.
Yeah.
So gosh, this is such a crazy scene. I don't even know how to take it. We're in 1931. And
I'm loving the years, right? Like them interjecting the years at key points to just kind of keep your mind in the right space. Like this is 1931. Yeah.
1931. So Isaac, the husband, he is at the tailor getting actually like he has a brother who passed away. And so he has his suit on and he's getting it tailored, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that suit means a lot to him.
Yes. So his brother, did they tell us in the movie how he died?
Yes, but so what did they say in the book? Like, do you remember from the book?
Well, he was kind of like a martyr. That they what do you call it? He was fighting against
the Japanese, I'm assuming.
Yeah, not like a war, not like as a
he was
soldier.
Part of the rebellion.
Yeah, there you go. So and so he was killed.
Yes. And
anyways, so he's trying on his suit and Hansu walks in. And I'm just okay, this is why I love Lee Min-ho. He has that look like he's looked to kill.
Oh yeah.
And I just love how he could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, it stirs something up inside me. He just has that look, man. It's just, is it just me?
No,
that's why he's
definitely not. Oh,
that's why he's so.
Yeah, that's why he's Lee Min-ho. Yeah. It's like he has the ability to deliver. Like his charisma points in Dungeons and Dragons would be off the charts. That's what I'm just saying. It's like just for him to be able to, like, you can feel his presence through the screen. That's how powerful of an actor he is. You literally can feel his presence through the screen, and you're just like, yo.
Oh God. Okay,
man, so this is intense.
So this is a small little town. Word gets around. They know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Isaac knows. I'm pretty sure he gets it now. I don't know, right? Because he could feel it. He could feel that heat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When he walks in. So, and Hansu has to know because he saw them at the docks. He knows. I don't know if he knows at this moment that they're getting married because he mentions it at the end of the scene. Isaac mentions that he's getting married, and then you see Hansu's face. Just I don't know when he walks in if he knows,
right?
But he did see them walking together, and back then you don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's your husband, you're not walking with other men.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure Hansu knows that he's staying at their boarding house. So
Hansu knew a lot about this dude.
Yes.
Yeah, and Hansu was like, "It's my job to know about the people bringing in disease into my into
Is that what
community."
He said?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he's so bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Disease ridden. Yeah, he got.
Oh yeah, because he came in sick.
Yeah, he took a shot at him.
Oh my God! It was good. That scene was good. Seeing those two men, seeing the friction there.
And I like the fact that although this guy to me, Isaac is handsome. And his presence is not as announced.
No, he's very sickly.
Nowhere close.
Yeah.
To Lee Min-ho, but it's like I could easily see in Isaac the actor, right, playing in another K-drama and being the lead guy, right? It's just in this space. I thought that they did a really good job of really just keeping his character muted, and yet at the same time, having him like kind of take a stand for himself. Like, nah, I don't need your suit. I will get another suit, and I can afford it. I'll buy it myself. Type of deal. Like, because he already knows that this is, it's not a shakedown or anything, but it's like.
Do you think he thinks that this is? He's got to know.
It's just a gangster wants to put somebody in his pocket. It's like, this is an easy transaction for Hansu. It's like, this is what he does all the time. It's like, hey, I'll buy you that, and then give me a favor later on, right? And so
the dialogue between them. This is what Hansu is telling him when he's trying when he has the suit on. He says, "You hang on to the past; it makes you look pathetic."
Mm-hmm.
Like
those are some strong. Yeah. I think the words and well, you know what, they were there. You know what, from my understanding, and it's like I know that it's it's like the Korean culture and Japanese culture, they're just a lot more straightforward.
You're right.
So things that in the United States you wouldn't use the word pathetic unless you basically. I wouldn't use the word pathetic unless I was picking a fight. Like I'm literally like stomping on you with the word pathetic. I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's surely the same word, but I don't know if it sends the same message.
Yeah.
Between cultures.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I just love even Ho when he I love that. I love him, seeing him like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. but
and I see this is the part, and it's like it's kind of funny because and it'll come up again later on. I keep on teasing that whole the Japanese woman and Solomon discussion, but to me the ethnic studies moments are like these, right? It's not, and I get that we understand the basis of the story, right? But to me that suit, right, and what Hansu represents in that moment, and what who Isaac represents in this moment is again an ethnic studies moment of saying this dude is wearing this suit not because he can't afford another suit. This dude is wearing this suit because he is honoring his brother who is a martyr for Korea, right?
Yeah.
And Hansu has given up his him being Korean in order to embrace the gangster life and in Japanese and go into the Japanese dominant spaces, right? And so that's one of those things, like I said, it's that tension. If you don't understand the tension between the nations that's playing out right now, then you're missing the whole story, right? I get it, right? It's like we in the United States, we tend to focus on individuals, right? Even in our, our biggest things like Rambo or something like that, where he's basically is Sylvester Stallone fighting against Vietnam, and it's like we focus on individuals, but this story, if you don't know and understand the context that is being told in between Japan, Korea, and United States, if you don't understand what's going on in that space, if you don't know enough about that, you are missing key moments of emotional appeal. And this was one of them. The suit was one of them.
Can I just say something?
I'm sorry. I talk too much.
Can you
hate me?
Can you keep bringing up this ethnic studies thing, and it's driving me nuts. You just gave a big old lecture to my dad last night.
I didn't give a lecture.
Yes, you did. So the reason why Bruce keeps,
maybe a little bit.
You keep bringing it up, and there's no context here. So like Bruce is going to teach an ethnic studies class this fall. So now like he keeps bringing up ethnic studies like
I do. You're right. And I'm gonna use this podcast.
This is not your class. Listen,
I'm gonna use this podcast.
Okay, listen.
To give to my students.
That's not the problem I'm having is just, can you give us, like you keep saying, ethnic studies. I think most people kind of can understand what that means, but when you keep saying it, what does it mean to you when you say that?
So when we think about, to just think of it in the simplest way possible, that ethnic studies is going to it's going to tell history. And so generally speaking, technically speaking, ethnic studies is history, is a history class, right? The thing is, it amplifies a different set of voices during the time during these historic moments, right? And so traditionally what happens in our history books is that we amplify the voices of the victor, of the person who won, of the country who won. Whether by good or bad, we amplify the voice of the people that won. But what happens to history, what happens to our understanding of history when we amplify the voice of the people who were oppressed, who were colonized, who were murdered, who were raped and pillaged? What happens if we amplify those voices along with these other voices? What kind of history do we, that to me is a history that is less likely to repeat itself, right? Because think about it, right? It's like everyone always says, it's like if you don't know your history, it's going to repeat itself. And to me, when you only amplify the voices of the colonizers, then it's completely easy to see this nation colonize another group, because they're like, well, we won, and see all this stuff that we got. But if you amplify the voices of the colonized, now all of a sudden we feel a different story, right? And I said this before, but it bears repeating now. It's just that I think a lot of people are horrified to hear about the Russian soldiers raping Ukraine women, right? And we're hearing about this, and people are horrified. And imagine us talking about war from the perspective of women. And if we did, it would be a very different story, right? We're not talking about strategy. We're not talking about battles. We're talking about, what's happening in villages without, villages, cities without a lot, fighters, if you would, and what happens when this other, the opposing group comes in and there's all these women and children left.
So this is ethnic studies. When you say ethnic studies.
So then when you say ethnic studies, now you're talking about specific ethnic groups, and then how they have battled and combated, colonization, oppression, stuff like that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So we have a scene where Isaac takes Sunja and her mother to the priest because he's going to marry them, and the priest gives Sunja, I mean,
he rips her. Oh my goodness!
And in the book, it's even more so.
And honestly, during that time,
because he's saying, like, look what you've done. You've shamed your family, and now this guy, I mean, you're gonna shame
his family too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of damage gonna happen just because of your emotions.
So the priest asked,
decision making,
Sunja, can you commit to the Lord? Because he's also a pastor. So that's a big thing. She doesn't even believe, have the same beliefs.
Right.
So anyways, he ends up marrying them. And then we see a scene at the rice merchant where I know that hit you. So Sunja's mom wants to buy them white rice. And she says, and the merchant is like, I have to save that little bit that I have for my Japanese customers.
Yep. Because if they see that I've run out of white rice for the Japanese customers, I'll be in big trouble.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to give her any. And what she tells him that, her daughter's going to get married. And she says, soon she'll follow her husband to Japan. I don't have a dowry, but a taste of her own country before she leaves home. I would like to give her that.
Yeah.
And do you remember the scene when Sunja was older? And she goes to visit the owner of the house that
the Korean landowner,
that Solomon is trying to buy, and she gives her white rice.
Yes,
Korean white rice. There's so much different kinds of rice.
Yeah,
but apparently this is rice from Korea.
Yes, yeah. No, that did not, that was the part that I literally was just like gasping. I'm like, there's the tie-in. This is what makes I'm assuming that Sunja is about 80 years old in Solomon's time. But that's the moment that ties you to, understanding the difference between Korean rice and Japanese rice. It's like I was floored because it's subtle. It really is subtle. The connecting, because they didn't flash them together. It's all the way in the other episode, and so if you forgot about it, that's on you. But for real, I was just like, that was such a dope tie-in.
And when Sonja was eating the rice as an older woman, grandma, she's so good, but she's like, there's a different flavor. Yeah,
it's a little bit nuttier. It's and so she literally could tell the difference in the taste, and I was again just stunned, absolutely stunned.
Oh, and you know what? I'm sure you do too. I'm sure everybody does, but I still remember flavors when I was a child that I haven't had before. Like, I lived kind of in a farming community, I guess there was farms where I was born, and
Mm-hmm.
we would go out to the fields at the end when they would finish picking the watermelons,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd go get a leftover water. We'd find a leftover one and drop it on the ground. And the sweetness of the watermelon, I haven't tasted that before. I haven't tasted that yet.
Yeah. Wow.
I still remember this sweetness of the watermelon picked from the ground and eating
Yeah.
it warm.
Okay. Yeah.
But things like that, and other few little things that I used to love to eat pickled pig's feet, and everybody makes fun of me. But the same thing, I can still taste it, like the vinegar and chewing the meat. When I could still I have those memories still.
Right.
So can you imagine when she's tasting the rice that she ate when she got married,
right,
that her mother gave her? And I don't know if she's seen her mother yet since then. I don't know. I don't remember.
She's talked about not having gone back in a lot of time, but maybe she's made a trip or whatever before.
I don't know, but when she left her mother after she got married, did she ever go back to see her mother? Did her mother ever see her child?
It seems pretty clear that she didn't ever go back.
Oh, so can you imagine her eating the rice and remembering that her mother served that to her?
I know. That's what I'm saying. That was good stuff. And I mean, you're talking about a lot of dialogue. I don't remember a lot of dialogue. I remember a lot of heavy emotion, and the directors, them shooting this, they're doing a masterful job of drawing out emotions in the moment, and that was beautiful.
So the merchant gives her enough for 3 bowls.
Yes.
One for her to say to swallow. Hopefully this will swallow your sorrows. So sad.
Yeah.
And then so she serves them the meal, and Sunja has tears.
Yeah.
She sees the rice, and she has tears. The other thing, you see Sunja and the 2 girls that work there with with them on at the boarding house, doing laundry. And one of the girls is talking about, she has like all these romanticizing, getting married, all this stuff. And her sister's like, look, we're never going to get married. No one's going to marry us.
Yeah. Because we don't have a dowry. We don't, we don't have a family. And so we're going to have to marry someone penniless. And where is that going to get us? Yeah. I mean, again, it's like the stark reality of being a woman in the 1930s, right? And it's that was worldwide, right? But especially in that culture, I'm like, wow, it's a backdrop to the story that's being told, because clearly Sunja was able to do something with however she lived her life, and we're going to wait to see that unfold. But we have plenty of hints about what, plenty of allusions to what could be happening as we move forward. And
so we see back 1989. Solomon is getting dressed because he's preparing to go to his meeting. And they're on the news. They were speculating about Japan and that they'll prosper. Do you remember that? No. No, you don't remember that? Okay, that you said Japan. You told me. I said, what did they say? And you said that Japan is going to financially prosper even more than the US or something. No, you don't.
No, that's like, it took me, I'm sorry, I was kind of swimming in the details of, I was thinking about rice still. But yeah, no, it was just that, the goal of Japan has been for a long time and still to whatever degree, is to be number one in the business space. During that time, we're talking about 89. And so this is like right after Japanese cars really hit the scene real hard, literally caused a upheaval in the automotive industry. Really? Yeah. See, you marry an ethnic studies person and you don't even know until we watch Pachinko. But but yeah, and so a lot of things were happening during that time that in the United States caused a lot of backlash. Right, it literally caused a lot of backlash.
You just remember this from us? Or did you read it? Like you?
No, read it. I read it. And so I should say studied it. But anyway, but yeah, and so Japan, it's like, look, this is 89, right? It's like they took those L's in World War. They took the L in World War II, but they've been building themselves up ever since. And so when you get to this moment in time, it's kind of like, yo, Japan's on the come up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and it was a big come up. I think, or I don't know a whole bunch about gross national products right now, but they're definitely up there in the top, industry, the top gross national products of nations. I don't think they beat the United States, but at that time it was really close. Let's just say it like that.
Okay. So we see a scene here where the grandmother, Sunja grandmother, she's packing to go back to Korea. Yeah. So remember, she wants to take her sister-in-law's ashes.
Yes.
I'm getting to the point in my book where I'm understanding that there was a relationship with her sister-in-law. That was kind of cool about the book. Mm-hmm. Because remember, in the movie, you see that she was very close with her sister-in-law. Right. And I was like, what sister-in-law is she? How, who was she really? What relationship did they have? So I'm getting into the book where I see that.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of cool.
I was wondering, you mean like physical relationship or just relationship?
Just a friendship. Maybe I should say friendship then.
Okay.
The friendship that she has with her sister-in-law.
The connection and everything.
Yeah. Because that's her husband's sister.
Okay.
In the book, right? And they were very close.
So Isaac's sister.
Isaac's brother. So remember, they leave Japan to go to Osaka to live with Joseph's brother, right?
Got it. Oh, well, Isaac's brother.
Isaac's brother.
Yeah.
Isaac's brother is Joseph.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Now I get it. No, we're good now.
So so she has nobody. That's why the sister-in-law was, they were so close.
Got it.
So, but she's going back to take her sister-in-law's ashes. Mm-hmm. And so she's packing, but at the scenes, right in the same scenes next, you see a mother packing for Sunja.
Yes.
For her to leave.
Yeah.
And she's like unpacking and repacking her stuff again. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then we see back at 1989, Solomon, and he talks to his coworker. This is where I was asking you earlier, not on air.
Yeah.
But I was like, what were they talking about? And you said you.
Yeah, she was basically. He was like, "How did you?" He
walks
get
into
here?
The office, and she's sitting there working, getting ready for this big meeting
and he's
to sign the papers.
Oh, you're early, and and they get into this conversation basically about why is she
there? Now I remember. Yes.
If you're this capable, why are you here? And then that's when she rips off on like some assistant or one of the other workers. She's like, do you know why this dude is here? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, he used to be part of these big companies, and a big bank, but he couldn't cut it, right? And so after years and years and years, they dismiss him, and then he winds up coming to that company, to the company that they're at. And she's like, and he's like, that's interesting. And she's like, yeah, because this is at the bottom. It going in the United States, your company might be a big deal, but here you're at the bottom. And she was like, wow. For me as a woman, it's better for me to surround myself with men who are not as accomplished, so that I can have a chance to get promoted. And I'm like, see, those are the kind of moments that I love. I absolutely love to hear, right, in their own words, if you would, about how people who are, a demographic of people, battle and strategize against oppression in this particular space, right, patriarchy and everything. And so, I'm sure she wouldn't say she was a feminist, and yet that is a very feminist, ideology, if you would, of just going like, yo, I'm on the come up, and I need to make sure that I'm doing this It's like I gotta do the best for me right now.
Why do you think they
right?
put that in? Why do you think that was?
I think it's going to come in very key later on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to, because she's clearly built like there's a little bit of heat. It's not over the top because quite honestly, Solomon is not an over the top romantic interest and everything, and so it's the heat starting to come in a little bit, but. Solomon is also trying to set some things straight because he's not playing with her and she's not playing with him. Like, I don't know if they necessarily, this is one of those, they hate each other and maybe they wind up liking each other later on. But then he was like, because Solomon even said something like, so was that when the affair started? And so I'm assuming that means that Japanese woman had an affair with the white
worker,
boss, if you would. And so I'm like, yo, so this is, like I said, so Solomon's been doing some digging, she's been doing some digging, and now they're at this space, right? Of she's like, yo, I'm doing the best I can with what I got. What about you? I mean, that it was to me, I really felt like it was kind of like that. In this moment, but also it really revealed again another one of those elements of Japanese culture that I don't think translates very well to us in the United States. And that is, she was like, you being let go by a job is like you being let go by your family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought that was incredibly deep. And like I said, but it's like, in the United States, you could say, yeah, I get it. But right. But we live in a world where literally you can move around. Now you can move around from company to company. And there's nothing as
shameful.
Loyalty, right?
That would be shameful to you and the family and everything.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
the next scene, Sunja is in the market. So she's like taking in the sights, she's going to be leaving. And then an officer, I can't, oh my God, takes her to Hansu.
Yeah. And now look, the way that they did that scene was deep. I'm assuming that they did it on purpose. Because I'm not 100% sure. It's like they left out the words for the Japanese officer.
Oh yeah. When we were
and I'm assuming that they did it on purpose. I'm let's just assume that they did it on purpose. If they did, that was powerful.
So if they did, what were your feelings?
It was just,
first we were like, wait, what's wrong?
It was
with
like, yeah, I know. It was just, to me, it was like more like language of power. Like you didn't need to know what this police officer was saying in order to know what they were saying.
You were just scared.
And you were scared. And it's like, can you imagine? It's like, look, I'm African-American. I'm afraid of police officers enough as it is. That's just point blank. I ain't going to swerve off of that. I can't even imagine interacting with a police officer and I didn't understand what they were saying to me. Like, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, I know what the uniform looks like, and I know that they got a gun.
Taking her.
So yeah, and they're taking her, and I'm like, ooh, this is not a good story here. Like,
and then
this is
Hansu.
Yeah, then you see Hansu, and you're like, damn,
so
bro, really? You did it like that?
This was his last ditch effort.
And the fact that he's using Japanese people, like Hansu is using Japanese officers, like that is a very important tie-in, right? That lets you know how powerful he is in this context, right? So,
oh my God,
that he's ordering around the oppressors.
So what did you think? What he was telling, what was he?
Man,
what was he?
I hate him.
I know.
And love him both at the same time. He's just powerful. And what he said was, I don't know, remember that comedian is like, it's true. Like what he said was true. From his perspective, he's just like, yeah. But I mean, he's not, I mean, this is a very emotionally abusive space here. So I don't want to prop that up, but at the same time,
I know there's a part of me that was like, he just wants what he wants, but another part of me, I'm like, does he really care for her? I mean, that's his child. He wants to take care of her.
Yeah.
And in those times you can have, mistresses.
Yeah.
And then we talked about too, would this really happen?
Mm-hmm.
Would this really happen in 1931 that she doesn't take his offer and just move to another town?
Yeah.
But I just keep thinking she's heartbroken. Like she thought she had him.
Right.
And she didn't. Absolutely. And so she felt betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hell hath no, well, she's not even scorned. I was about to say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, but she wasn't scorned necessarily.
No.
But
she
she's just like, and this is the moment, right, where she's like, all you were going to bring me is shame because I kind of dug a little bit into you. I know a little bit more about you now. And
I don't,
yeah, no, bro.
So now she knows. She should have figured all that.
You would think, yeah, it was like some dude walking around in a white suit on a freaking fishing.
You know what though? She was memorized. Sometimes,
she was memorized. She remembered him.
Mesmerized. Mesmerized. Even Ho can do that to you. I'm telling you, he walked up. You just be like, you forget all your morals, everything.
Clearly.
You don't know what to do.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and bash a woman making decisions. That is very.
She was attracted to him from the beginning.
I mean,
He, and it happened. She was hoping
for more.
In another time.
Yeah.
He, but he is a lot older than her. He's about the same age as her mother. He is the same age as her mother.
Okay.
In the book, so she's still young.
Yes.
And she's, I mean,
she's not even 20 yet, right? I mean, she's a teenager.
She's young and she doesn't.
And he's close to 40.
Yeah. So he was not upfront with her. And he tries to say that, I thought you knew.
Yep.
Because see, that's where, that's where age comes in and just not being seasoned in the way of the world.
Right. Exactly.
You're like, you see this 40-year-old man, wealthy, he's got women.
Yeah.
All over. Yeah. And so
that, and I mean, it's like the other important part to remember is that he also didn't have a male heir, and so
that too.
So maybe there was, there's definitely tension with that, especially during this time.
She may have a son.
And so he's fishing around for a male heir. The men have done. I mean, well, they've done less for more for less. So
there is a part of me that's wondering, taking all that into consideration, why didn't he say something? Like, why didn't he tell the priest, this is my child? Why didn't he go to the mother and say, I'm going to take care of her?
Mm-hmm.
He did kind of everything on secret. Anyways, I'm just wondering.
Because then we wouldn't be able to tell the story that they're telling right now.
True, but I'm just
because the mom I'm telling you, the mom, if she heard the deal, she would be like, yeah,
you're taking care of it.
You're taking that deal.
Yeah.
You're taking this deal.
Yeah. So he says to her finally when he leaves, you will call for me and I won't even know your name.
Not true. That's not true.
I kept thinking if he was a good man, he would say, I will be here if you change your mind. If you ever decide to leave him.
See, but that's not his character though. Right?
I know.
It's
you're right.
His whole character is about taking things by force.
Yeah, right? You're right. And he got a little forceful with her too.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
That was scary.
So exactly. And so it's like, do you really expect him at this stage in the game? Do you really expect him to be gentle and kind? Right? When he has literally taken on the mantle of the oppressor in this space, of the imperial. In this space, he's not one of them, but he's damn close, right? And so
Soon just says goodbye.
Yep, I'm out.
And Grandma's at the airport. When I say grandma, I mean grandma. When Sunja as a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma's at the airport, and Sunja says goodbye to her mom. Oh, I just kept thinking of Alana.
I know.
Like if I had to say, it would kill me, I would say no. I know. You can't go. I'm going with you.
I mean, that's what a lot of mothers did back in the day. I mean, she's not necessarily, the mother's not necessarily tied down to the space.
No.
But the mother knew what's up. She's like, I'm not going to Japan. I'm not going to Japan. Oh no.
And she gives her some good advice. You mentioned that, didn't you mention that in one of your sentences?
Just giving some motherly advice.
And she's like, at that point where she was talking to her about relations, and she's like, why am I telling you? Act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You're pregnant. Why I don't think I need to tell you all this.
That was funny.
Your husband's gonna have needs and you need to attend to them. kind of how it was in the book.
Yeah, even if it's uncomfortable, especially there now, because even she was like, even the best men be out in them streets. I'm like,
in the book, she's like, if you don't take care of them, another woman will.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. It's like, yeah, oh yeah. I'm playing, but I'm not. But yeah.
I look. I'm you know, I could see the social facts in front of me and not balk at that, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, it's
whether it's right or wrong, or whether I would do it or not.
It's the truth.
It's
really
true. Yeah.
For the most part, right? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So the property owner arrives and they have their meeting. There's all of these men sitting around. And then we have Solomon, the woman, I can't even remember her name. She's there.
Japanese woman, yeah.
Yeah, Naomi. Her name is Naomi. She's there. And she's taking a long time to sign those papers. She's making them nervous. Yes. Yeah. She's reading through, and then she tells a story of her father. And what's so interesting, she's telling this story, but at the same time, they go back in time and show it.
So amazing.
Yes, because because Sunja and her husband now are on the ship. He goes off to try to find her water, and he starts talking to the other Korean passengers to find out why they're there. And at the same time, the property owner is telling that same story, how her father came over. That was really cool.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm waiting for you to get to it. So, but yeah,
go ahead.
No, I'm not.
To get to what?
You better get to the singer.
Yes, that whole thing was a little. I don't know. It was just so much, so deep. So when Sunja was at the docks, she meets this woman who's all dressed up, and they said she's a famous singer. She drops her sash, and Sunja gives it to her. Well, on the ship, you see her, and she's an entertainment. Yeah. For all the wealthy, probably Japanese, passengers there, and she's singing, and then she starts to sing a Korean song. Yes. And all the Koreans on the ship can hear it. And they said, that's our song. Yep. My goodness. That was amazing. So clearly she was singing some sort of something that would be akin to like an anthem, right? Because it would have to be something that is so widely sung that even the commoners wouldn't recognize it. Yeah. And then she commits suicide. Yep. What do you think that was about? This is why I love Alice. We're married for a reason, and I'm a scientist, right? And so I can find the patterns. Yes, I'm not that dumb. Yeah. but I sometimes I just want more. Like I want it to be said to me. Then I'm not going to give it to you because I'm not going to give you more. All I can give you is speculation. Because they are not going to make that clear for us. It is not a main part of the story. Treated well. What you mean by treated well is that she's been, that she is a comfort woman, and therefore stripped away from all senses of herself and forced into sex work. If that's what you mean by not treated well, then yeah, that is what I would suspect. And they hinted towards that, and the way that they're doing things is so subtle that it's just magnificent to me. But if you miss it, then then you're just left like, what? But while she was sitting there, some Japanese business dude was like touching her. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, remember, we're not talking about now, which even that would still not be okay now, right? But it's not. This is 1931. Right. But this is 1931. You don't touch nobody in a culture where public displays of affection are absolutely like
alien. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. And everything. And so, yeah. So for that to happen, like I said, it was just like, oh, so she's just their plaything.
Yeah.
And that night, honestly, before that, she had made a decision.
Yeah.
I'm out, and I'm going to do this my way. And she represented Korea down to the end, and then, you know, killed herself at the end. I'm like, that, and in a space where that would be actually honorable.
I wonder if there like really is a true story like that somewhere, and they took it.
I'm sure. The author took I'm sure that there's tons of stories like this that you would hear.
Look that up.
Well, we already had.
She was a famous.
I mentioned it.
Known.
Yeah, I mentioned it before, but or we watched the movie, and it was a horrible movie. It was a great horrible movie. You know, Flowers of War.
Yeah,
and everything.
Was
and
so good.
And so anyway, but there's like I said, I'm sure that this is based on, you know, like how it's like I'm switching big time gears here, like the Marvelous Midge Maisel, which, you know, we watched season 1 where we loved it. That is not, she's not a real person, but she is built on all these stories of women who have who were going through, try to be a stand-up comic at the time.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like Carol Burnett and some other folks who were trying to who are on the come up, right? And so the Marvelous Midge Maisel, she is a, you know, an analogy, if you would, for all these other women at the same time. And so
that too.
Exactly, right? It's like, because you look, you just, you can't be famous, you can't be Korean and famous without doing work. And being, you know, and that's the same thing we see with Hansu. It's like right now it seems like he's really powerful, but I have a feeling because he's not going away. This is Lee Min-ho, so we know that his story is important, and we know that his legacy is important because they keep on flashing to grandchildren of well, assuming it's him, right? We keep on getting flashed over to his grandkids and stuff like that. So we know he's not going away.
You know what I forgot to mention when they were on the docks and the ship leaves and the mother's standing there watching, and Hansu's behind her watching too.
Yeah. That's when you know, like he does, like I said, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I get it. He does care.
Yeah. In his way.
But he's caring in a way that it's like, do you understand what he had to become in order to be who he is? Yeah. And so when he acts that out, even with someone that he loves, he can't bridge that gap. Not, at least not immediately. He has to try to become a better man. And I think we're gonna see that.
Oh, I can't wait. So this is where the property owner, she's talking to Solomon in Korean at the table. And she said, if your grandmother was sitting here, what would you tell her to sign? And he says, don't do it.
Well, he says, I wouldn't tell her to, like, because
he says, don't do it.
The Korean landowner, she was like, every fiber in my being is telling me not to sign this. What would you tell your grandmother? And he's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo!
And she doesn't.
And she gets up and walks out. I'm like, that is a stone cold. Give it to him. Give him the business. Even if it is symbolic, because they'll probably sue her and get it, because there was some, clearly there was some type of verbal agreement that very well may carry, but because they were talking about that at the table too, right? It's like, oh, this is just ceremonial. We already got this.
Yeah. So we'll see. But so the last 2 scenes of this episode, we see Sunja, grandmother Sunja, in Korea, and in the taxi, she stops. She tells him to stop, and she goes out in the rain on the beach.
Yeah.
She's home.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was good.
And then you see Solomon. He left the building and he's dancing outside in the rain. There's a band out there.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Stunning. stunning turn of events right there. Stunning
So
turn of events.
so okay,
I absolutely love that he was there. I love that he was dancing.
But why? Like, okay. Bruce is gonna be mad.
You shut up. Look, you completely see. This is why we're married. You shut off during the moments of power. While I am literally activated, like my brain starts racing during the moments of power.
Okay, so I
and
get
conflict.
This is where I
your brain, like,
this is where I don't, because I'm like, did he really change in that moment? Because all he's been wanting was this promotion. He wants this deal to go through. He wanted this down to his core. He brought his grandmother to go see this woman. So at what point did he change? What has he been slowly changing to where he just felt this freedom? What is I didn't get it. Not that I didn't get it. I needed it to be verbalized.
I think you got it just fine. And you ain't gonna get it verbalized. So, and I'm not gonna try to verbalize it to you.
So I think that this time that he has spent with his grandmother and this Korean woman, the landowner, the property owner, hearing stories,
reflecting on his own experiences, because he made mention of those a few times,
and then talking to Naomi in the room earlier, where
talking to his sister.
So has he been slowly chipping away, and finally after this he felt freed. He just felt like, that
is what the scene is supposed to represent.
I guess
that he was shackled to dominance and power and imperialism. He was shackled to those ideas. And he, in that one moment, it's like, there's times when liberation is gradual, but and then there's times when liberation is sudden. And then there's always the things that are gradual, and then no matter what, liberation is sudden. And so, yes, we got hints of it, but you really didn't see anything in him, right? Yeah. It's until that moment when she said to him, every fiber of my being tells me not to sign this. What would you say to your grandmother? And after getting to know more about his grandmother and all that through this process, he was just like, don't do it. And like I said, sometimes liberation is eventually, is sudden. And he suddenly realized what he was doing. And he's like, oh my God, I cannot believe I was about to do this. And he felt liberated.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do with that. I mean, because that's how I felt. That's how I felt.
I sometimes when we're watching, you and I are watching films, we have things like that, scenes like that, where you were supposed to pick up all the hints and everything. And a lot of times I don't get it.
Yeah.
And like, I need it to be, I guess I like doubt myself.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'm like, is it really? And that's where you were like, it was so clear. And I'm like, no, it wasn't clear. Yeah. Not to me. I just want to make sure. I guess I doubt myself, and I don't know if that's really.
Well, and again, you have to believe that you really have to now, at this moment in time, you have to believe it. I don't think this is a hard sell to Japanese and Korean folks, because if you think about the dynamics of that meeting also, the thing that I'm telling you, like, flat out, it literally upset me. Like, there was a part in there I was upset, and this is the reason why. It's because here they are talking Korean to each other, and the Japanese people around the table are like, "Why do you speak Japanese?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was about to cuss just now too. I'm like, that made me so mad, right? Because here's these Korean folks who are fluent in both, but these Japanese oppressors, like, speak our language, right? And again, this is not talking about all Japanese folks clearly, but right, this is a movie set in this time period and illustrating certain points. That's language of power type of stuff. That's something, reminiscent of here in the United States, of people when they say, they come over, immigrants come to the United States and they're like, speak English, and it's like, man, we live an hour away from Mexico. And we are less than an hour away from Mexico, and we have a significant Spanish-speaking population, and yet me and and us in the United States, we resist learning multiple languages. And in our context, I'll step back into into Pachinko real quick. Clearly, it is about power, right? I'm not learning your language. Japanese folks saying this to Korean folks, I'm not learning your language because we are powerful and you need to adjust to us, right? Therefore, if that's true, which I think we can clearly see that in Pachinko, then that means the same is true for the United States. That we're not going to learn your language, even though there's plenty all around here, and that even our street signs and all of that stuff and neighborhoods are named in Spanish. Our schools are named and have Spanish names. F you, learn our language.
Our towns.
Right? Our towns, our cities are named as our Spanish names, but F you, y'all learn how to speak English, right? And so, right, literally, right, it's about power. And so those are the moments that just kill me. And yet, my mom is Japanese. And so I knew that this was going to cause some conflict in me because I always go with the underdog. That is who I am. I've always been that. And so again, that moment was so much clearer to me. I'm not saying that I honestly, I thought she was going to sign. Until she didn't, I thought she was going to sign until she didn't. And then when she didn't, I'm like, yo, let's go. I was excited. I was super excited for a lot of different reasons, but I guess I was I'm not as excited about Solomon. I'm still like just lukewarm on him, really. I'm not warmed up to him at all. Who I was rooting for was the Korean woman.
Yeah.
That's who I was rooting for. I was rooting for.
That's a hard one because they were going to give her so much money.
I figured it out. It's about 10 million.
She could have done a lot with that, and then going back to what his grandmother was saying, it's just walls. You can go use that money and buy property someplace else.
Yeah.
You can go back to Korea and buy yourself property.
Yeah.
And that would be your family's. So I don't know. There is a part where I'm like, you can maybe do way better, but she's like, I don't want to give this up.
Yeah. Like,
so I don't know. It's a hard one.
In the same way that, I mean, we got to get that woman's name. She's just so important in my heart. But the Korean woman,
property owner,
the property owner,
yes,
in the same way that she said, she was a mother of one of the people in Squid Game. But yeah, and so. But when she said to Sunja or to Solomon, because Sunja was crying when she ate the rice, she was like, she earned those tears, right? And so there's this part of her that's like, I earned this land. Y'all ain't just gonna take this away from me. And yes, I could do a lot for my kids right now, but they're gonna get a lot when we move, when I die, yes. But until then, I'm staying here because I earned this spot. That's how I saw that.
Yeah. Well, that was good. That was episode 4. Thanks for listening.
And a lot more people are watching the videos on this one than ever before. And so we encourage you, keep on going to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, 5-star ratings, do all of that stuff.
Check out our website, talkkdramas.com.
Our Instagram.
We have Instagram. Yep. All of that.
Alice is amazing. I'm just her ethnic studies sidekick. I'm a color commentator.
Thanks for listening. This is Talking Dramas with Grace and Alice. Bye.
Bye.